Okay, good evening. We'll call the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please, Clerk Torada? Can you do that for me, please?
Good afternoon, members of the public. For audio quality, we will be muting everyone not speaking by default to maintain good audio quality for council and yourselves. If you would like to speak during the meeting, during the public portion, please submit your request in the chat. Directions to do so are listed in the chat. We ask that you provide your full name and address, as those are required for all speakers at in-person council meetings. If you have any questions, please use the link provided in the Teams chat to submit them. Additionally, if you're called on to speak, please provide your details in the following format. My name is full name and I live at address. You will then be given 5 minutes to speak. Please ensure that you unmute yourself prior to giving your remarks. Thank you. Committee Chair Noskoski.
Present.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner.
Present.
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Present.
Councilmember White.
Present.
Citizen Member Angela Smith. Citizen Member Rostio. All present.
Thank you. And with that, we'll go to this evening's presentation is by the Human Rights Organization. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for your grace and allowing me to be here tonight. My name is Katrina Lee. Address is 319 North Niles Avenue.
Welcome, Ms. Lee.
Thank you. So I want to start out by allowing you to have an opportunity to see our mission statement. I won't waste your time in reading it since you have it before you, but wanted to make you aware of it. Next slide, please. Well, that was a short presentation. Thank you for your time.
Just give us 1 second.
Sure.
Mr. Tree.
Oh, there we are.
Thank you.
So I'd like for you to meet our team. What we do is promote and protect human rights within the city of South Bend and St. Joseph County. We are a small team, but mighty. I'm not sure if the council is aware of the number of staff members that we have or their job duties and titles. So I've listed those for you. So myself, we have a housing manager, we have an employment manager, we have an intake coordinator, and we have 2 investigator 5 roles and 1 administrative assistant 2 on the team. I also wanted to share the additional funds that HRC receives each year. Not sure if you're aware of it, but we do receive a grant of $10,000 from the City of South Bend Community Investment, and this is for providing education and training to South Bend residents. We also received this year $30,000 from St. Joseph County, and that is for investigating housing cases within the county. And last, we received $10,000 from the city of Mishawaka for providing education and training to the residents of Mishawaka. So here I'm super excited about this slide because part of my role was to increase community outreach, training, and education. And I think thus far we have accomplished that. I've been in this role since January 29th, and I stand before you with 25 events that we have been a part of, put on outreach, workshops, and education within South Bend and Mishawaka. Last year, as you can see, in 2023, there were only 5 events that took place, and we do have a couple other events planned for the end of the year. So this is a very happy, exciting moment for me to share with you some of the outreach that myself and team put together. We were able to reach several people, several children, community members with the 25 events that we have put on. So if there are any of you who participated or came to support or was at the luncheon, we at HRC thank you for your support. So for this slide, shows our increases. So HRC budget overall increased 31.22% from last year. And the EEOC budget overall decreased negative 9.87%. And the HUD budget increased 81.72 from last year. I know that seems like a lot, but bear with me. I will share with you why that is. So the increase in salaries, we needed to meet the area rate, market rate for salaries and align with the Department of Legal to ensure pay equity. And I'll show you those on following slides. There's an increase in staff. We would wish to add a new investigator. Cases have increased due to outreach and additional advertisement and collaborations with other partners within the community. There's been an increase in supplies due to increase in staff, of course, workshops, training, and the case volume. Increase in education and training. Contract guidelines require staff to have certain amount of education and training. And I'm not sure if you know, the senior person in our office, 2 years, July of this year. So we are all fairly new, from 4 weeks to 2 years. So the training and education is required is needed so that we can better serve our community. But it's also a requirement of HUD and EEOC. There's an increase in the other charges, and that pretty much covers rent, speaker fees, memberships, advertisement. We have advertised and will continue to advertise on 4 radio stations, 3 of which in English and 1 in Spanish. We're very happy that we have 2 bilingual staff members in our office, so we are able to service more of our community members. Increase in professional services. So this is to provide outside legal counsel for charging parties, housing cases, and this is a requirement of the HUD grant. And then, of course, there's an increase in travel. We have new staff attending educational conferences. It's not on the slide, but I did want to be transparent. There is an increase in printing and advertising because of the increased projects. Okay, the HRC budget, there is an increase in salary, which we talked about, but I want to also share that in order to attract and maintain talent with experience and skill set, the salaries, they have to be competitive with surrounding markets and similar duties in other areas within the city. I have worked with my leader, Sandy Kennedy, who is here tonight, to ensure equitable pay for the HRC staff. The responsibilities were reviewed and it was determined to align the HRC staff with that of the legal department. So to give you a better picture, the investigators have similar duties and skill sets as the paralegals, And the manager of the legal department has similar duties and skill sets as the HRC staff managers. And our intake coordinator, there's an increase request there because the duties and responsibilities have increased. This person oversees all of DFO and P card purchases, coordinates and distributes all of our board packets and materials. They're in charge of sending out all the legal notices and documentations to clients and attorneys. They maintain all of HRC files and will be cross-trained as an investigator to assist with overflow of cases. I also wanted to share that, to my knowledge, there has not been a market increase in several years for the HRC staff. The HRC has not been fully staffed for the past 2 years. So there's going to be an increase in supplies, education and training, professional services, travel for those reasons. And I just want to point out that other services covers rents, memberships, speaker fees, advertisement, commissioner, local retreat, which we had this year, promotional material, building maintenance fees, outside legal fees, and printed materials such as flyers and brochures. So do I go through this or do I stop and get questions? I'm not sure. It's my first go around. Just keep going. Okay. Thank you. So EEOC, I wanted to share the comparison from 2023 to 2024. As you can see, the year of 2023, there were 106 cases, and we were awarded $68,000 from EEOC. In 2024, employment cases from January to September, there were 123 cases. We have 3 more months left in this year, and we're projecting between 30 to 50 additional cases by the end of the year. We will be awarded for this year's cases $69,100. So there is an increase in salaries and benefits because HRC has not been fully staffed for the past 2 years, so that should be expected. Education and training increase is needed. As I shared before, that the team is new and training is an EEOC contract requirement. We are projected to receive $75,000 from EEOC for their cases in 2025. So to make a note that $75,000 would cover the salary for that manager. HUD cases for 2023, there were 14 cases in the calendar year. We were awarded $98,000 for those cases, which we received this year because the dollars were not drawn down. So that's why it says we received those in 2024. So in 2024, for the housing cases from January to September, there were 23 cases. 11 cases we have closed, and we currently have 12 open cases being investigated. We will be awarded $234,300, and I'll explain why the number is so large. And that is because for the past 3 years, the money that we would receive for cases that were investigated were never drawn down. So the money was just sitting with HUD. So we have since requested all of those dollars from HUD. I'm working with our controller Kyle on that, but we have since requested those funds, and we will be getting those funds yet this year. And I'll let you know how we plan to spend that money. Something that I'd like to highlight is that HUD has asked our office to partner with them to assist in their overflow of cases. I take this as a positive. We do a really good job. The investigators do a really good job. And this is an opportunity for us to continue to rise to the occasion and shine as a department. So there is a slight increase in salary and benefits. Education, training, travel increases are needed because the entire team is new, as I have shared. The training and certification is a HUD contract requirement. Other services covers speakers for engagements and education and training, advertisement, promotional material, subscriptions, building maintenance, outside legal fees, and outside printing material. If you look at the cap line for capital for 30,000, I would like to purchase a fleet vehicle. We have looked into this and have been quoted $28,000 for an Equinox to be used for on-site and field investigations to assist with efficiency. There is a lot of time spent with phone tag with the employers or with witnesses. And with conducting on-site investigations, this will assist in completing the cases in the required 100 days for HUD. So we have 100 days from the time we receive that case to the end to complete the entire investigation. And for the upkeep of that vehicle, I am able to move funds around if needed for maintenance. We are projected to receive $95,000 for 2025 from HUD. So this is our grand total of goals for 2025 to increase award luncheon attendance and scholarships, and sponsorships for our scholarships. Increase City of South Bend Community Investment Grant. This year, we requested $25,000 to increase City of Mishawaka grant to $25,000, and we have requested those funds from both of those locations. Increase community outreach to 30 events. Increase community partnerships. Publish the annual report. My plan is to do a condensed version from 2021 to 2023 because I was not here and there hasn't been any annual report. So I'm going to do my best to create those and then a more comprehensive annual report for 2024. I am also asking to add a full-time investigator, complete on-site field investigations and interviews, and obtain the fleet vehicle for on-site field investigations and interviews. So I'd like to also share that the housing manager and the employment manager, that I met with them, and it was clear that they were not able to effectively handle a full-time investigator role, a full-time investigator workload, and maintain their management responsibilities, which include writing grants, providing outreach opportunities, facilitating training and workshops. There are times they have to create and run reports for HUD and EEOC, and these are monthly, quarterly, and annually. There's databases that they have to maintain as well to ensure compliance with EEOC and HUD contracts. And they also conduct extensive research for the cases as well. So throughout the month, my managers have to stop investigating and put cases on hold to complete the contract requirements for HUD and EEOC. And I'd just like to share and clarify that there is more than enough work for a full-time investigator. The average caseload is between 15 and 18 per investigator. We currently have 75 cases in our office. And with an additional investigator, each investigator would have 18 to 19 cases if we had an additional case, if we had an additional investigator today. And at this time, there are 25 cases divided amongst the current investigators today. So my plan would be to take the excess workload from the managers. They would be part-time investigators, and then we would add an additional new investigator to take on the extra workload so that the managers can do their managerial duties and not delay in investigating cases. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Counselor Kennedy, anything to add or supplement to that? No? Okay, thank you. We'll start with questions. Any committee members or counselors with questions? Mr. Deal?
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I'm not sure where to start because I have so many questions.
Okay.
But the number that jumps out to me right off is the salaries for the HRC budget. Approximately $99,000. And I guess what I would like to do is, or like to have you do, is to explain to me how that money is going to be divided among the 7 or 8 employees that you have. Because if I understood you correctly, the $75,000 grant is going to cover cost of a new hire.
No.
Okay.
So the grant from HUD covers our housing manager.
Okay.
The grant from EEOC covers our employment manager.
Okay. So the additional monies that you're asking for salaries, what is that going to average out to in terms of per employee increase?
So for the investigator, for the intake coordinator, that would be a 49.41% increase. So that would be $19,980. For the
Is it 19,000?
$19,980. And then for the new investigator, that would be at 100%. And the top pay of that would be $63,816. And then for the current investigator would be 16.41%, $8,994. And for the current other investigator, it would be the same, 16.41%, $8,994. And then for the employment manager would be 5.24%, which is $3,592. For the housing manager would be 5.24%, which is $3,592. And I'd like to add that we have had 2 stellar candidates that we offered the vacant position to, and both turned it down because of the salary. And so if you do even a quick market analysis for investigator 5s, we are on the low end. And as I had mentioned earlier, to my knowledge, there hasn't been a market increase for the HRC team. And so in looking at now that HRC is under legal and looking at the duties and responsibilities of the legal team and the HRC team, they're very compatible and similar in duties and responsibilities. And so that's where the alignment comes in at as well.
Okay, my last question. Aside from the cost of living, did employees in your department receive raises last year, the year before? Anything in excess of the cost of living?
3%?
Okay, nothing above that?
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you for your presentation. As always, in these budget hearings, I've learned a lot. So there's big increases in the budget for training and supplies, and you talked about how you're finally fully staffed, and so that's part of it. Would you expect now that you're fully staffed that that would level out in 2026, or do you kind of see this as an ongoing increase that you're going to have to accommodate year over year?
I feel like it should level out. It looks like a huge jump because there was no travel. There was very little travel. There was very little supplies used. And I think this is going to be a baseline for us.
And then my second question is, with the increased caseload, is the county looking at an increase in their contribution for 2025, or are they maintaining what they did for 2024?
At the moment, they're maintaining what they did for 2024.
Is there a break, do you guys have a general breakdown of what's in each of the jurisdictions that you track? Or is it,
We do, but I don't have that today.
I'm just curious.
And I can also go back and ask for additional dollars from the county as well. That's a good point. Also, I want to go back to the travel. So as our staff is leveled off and have been trained and have been there longer than 6 months or a year, the travel also will decrease some. There is a requirement for myself and the managers, once everyone else is fully equipped with the certifications that are required, the travel will not be as much as it is now. Thank you for your questions.
Member Lee.
Yes, thank you for your presentation, and I was just trying to figure out everything. So basically with the $234,000 that HUD is going to award you, the from back cases, and then the 75,000 and the 95,000, pretty much most of your budget is going to be from what it'll be from services, and you're being reimbursed pretty much. So when we look at $500,000 as a budget, most of that is going to be coming from money that's coming in.
That is correct.
So it's not as like a big expense. I'll just try to understand it in simple terms. So it's not like it's a big expense because these things are coming in from services.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morgan.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm just going to piggyback on question that Mr. Deal asked. And so I was doing the math really quickly as you were, before you were doing that. And so just the question that I had was in the, what I'm seeing in the salary ordinance that, so we're not having the levels of investigators, right? Like they're all, according to your chart here, they're all level 5.
We have 2 of them. They're level 5s.
Level
yes.
5, and then we'll have another level 5. And so we're seeing that 37.68% increase because we haven't been doing market rate raises for quite some time, is the rationale, and correct?
That is
Yeah,
correct.
makes sense to me. So we're raising those salary caps. At the same time, though, I'm just wondering how you're thinking about, I guess, fairness with regards to seniority with current investigators that you have and bringing someone new on. Um,
So there is wiggle room as far as not bringing someone at the total cap of the salary. Right now, our investigator that we have has been in that role 6 months. Yeah. So
Okay.
they will all pretty much have the same seniority because we're
I
pretty
see.
much all starting new.
Okay.
And the managers that I have, one is 2 years and the other one is just over a year.
I see.
So they'll all be pretty much the same seniority when it's time for raises. and-
Okay. And my concern was just addressing investigators that may have been there, 3, 5+ years, but that's not the case.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm just going to piggyback off of Councilmember Lee's question. When you begin to look at your budget, you're actually looking at 4 sources. When I say that, you have the one that's coming from HUD, EEOC,
Mhm.
St. Joseph County, and then also from the city, correct?
Correct.
So if you were to look at the percentage of your budget, how much of that is city funds versus the other funds that you get in terms of investigating the cases? You have a sense of that?
Are you referring to the
The total.
Mishawaka budget?
Yep, yeah.
I mean, the
You get
Mishawaka
funds from
fund
Mishawaka too,
and-
yeah.
And is that for 2025 or
Well, I would look
2024?
at 24 going into the budget for 2025.
Because, right,
Mhm.
so for 2024, we received 10,000 and I'm asking for 25,000. So
Then from HUD,
HUD,
200.
so, and we're getting that money this year.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
your question is how much money what's the percentage from the city?
Yes, I mean, you don't have to give it to me now,
Okay.
but,
I'm not that
just
quick
a
with the
question.
math.
I'm not either, so, but I was looking at that because I know historically for years that the Human Rights Commission has received funds for investigating for the state. And then, those funds have covered a lot of the different functions, but also the staff that the Human Rights Commission has had. And then you're at the point now that you really will have a fully staffed, staffing within the human rights and you're building it back up. So, again, I'm very pleased with the work that you've done, as well as the way in which the Human Rights Commission has reached beyond the walls and you're involved in the community, and that engagement piece is very important as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Just to add a little bit, excuse me,
Mhm.
Kyle Willis, City Controller, offices on the 12th floor. Just want to add a little bit of clarity to your
Mhm.
question. So like the HRC general are paid from the general fund.
Mhm.
And then EOC and HUD are grant funded
Okay.
divisions there. So just like you said, there's the county piece. So there's like,
Mhm.
there's the city from the HUD general, well, HRC general, and then the federally grant funded funds as well. So EOC and HRC and then the county. So
So be kind of interesting to see what that breakout is from the city, and then you look at the county, and just, I think it would give us a different picture too as well. But
Gotcha.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Chair, can I just ask one more on that, just on that? I mean, that would be, I think, I mean, just nice to see. Maybe we could do that math, but it's essentially a revenue table.
I
Is
can,
a revenue table is kind of essentially what that is.
we can get
I
that
think.
for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You noted that?
Other questions?
Yes, we
Council.
have Sue Kism online.
I wasn't there to the public yet.
So
Councilmember Lee.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
just to know, and again, this has been great information to know. So can you just kind of take us through the process of what a person has a claim against, that whole process of when someone comes to you all and what happens from there?
Sure. So if the claim is for employment, typically they will call and our administrative assistant will take the pre-initial intake and then set them up for an appointment to come in and meet with our intake coordinator. They will take all of the information. We have a list of questions that we ask. They'll take all of that information, and then a notice is, well, that information is notarized by Notary Public, and that information is then sent to the employer. We give them 20 days to respond, and then we request witnesses from the charging party. We request any documentation, if they have video footage, text messages, whatever supporting documents they may have, to bring those in. We collect all of those. Their claim is uploaded into EEOC because it is filed dually. And if it's within our jurisdiction, then we, HRC local, we will take that on. And then once we receive the requested information back from the employer, we gather all that information and then we compare the notes between what we've received from the charging party versus what we received from the respondent. And then through the investigation, if it's going to be a probable cause or no probable cause, the charging party will let us know what resolution they're looking for, whether that is an apology, whether that is I want my job back, whether that is I want back pay, or I don't want to be there anymore and I think they should award me X, Y, and Z. So we will take that after all of the investigation we have met with witnesses and we have reviewed, because we'll subpoena or request for video footage or HR files. So we'll go through all of that. And then if the investigator and my conclusion is that it's a probable cause, we will send that information to the respondent, and either they can conciliate, which is come to an agreement with the charging party. And if they agree, then it's basically like settling out of court. So there's a settlement agreement that our legal team puts together, and that we get that signed. And then the case is closed. Now, in cases where the employer does not want to conciliate, they want a mediator, they want to come in and basically negotiate. So then we have to work with our legal team and get an outside neutral person to come in and be the mediator and try to resolve the issue. Sometimes it does get resolved, sometimes it doesn't. And then if it doesn't, the charging party always has a right to sue, but then they can take it to a public hearing. And then that takes a while to schedule and get that set up. Since I have been here, we've not had a public hearing. We have 4 currently on hold. We are seeking hearing officers.
Thank you.
It's a very long process for one case. And then with housing, it's pretty much the same thing, but we have to work much faster because we only have 100 days.
Just wanted to know for the public and those who may be watching online, how the whole process, how it all plays out.
That was a great question. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, I would like to know how many cases have you settled or heard this year up to right now?
Through September,
Yes.
123,
And some of the results have been,
both probable cause and no probable cause. And some have been closed, administrative closure. Sometimes it's because the charging party decides they don't want to move further, or they say, I'm getting an outside attorney. You're welcome.
Okay, and with that, we'll move to the public. Any members of the public with comments?
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak?
Seeing none, we'll move online.
Sue Kesem is online and wishes to speak virtually. Please unmute yourself.
I am unmuted.
Go ahead, Ms. Kesem.
You can continue with your comment.
I am unmuted.
Go ahead, Ms. Kesem.
I am unmuted. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Sue Kesem, 4022 Kennedy Drive. My comment, I just wanted to say, first of all, I understand the important work. Penny Hughes has, kept me abreast of how important it is. And I wanted to comment, although a retreat is nice, I don't think it's a necessity. Considering we need to cut back, I think that's something that could be easily cut from the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I respond or, yes? Okay.
Certainly.
Hi, Sue. She's my neighbor. So as far as the local retreat, that is the time for education. It's 4 hours once a year, and our attorneys come and provide education to the commissioners on updated rules and regulations and laws and procedures. So it's really vital that we have that. It's minimal that we spend. Off the top of my head, we spent just over $500 for the local retreat here in town. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. I didn't realize it was such a small amount because in the line item that it was with, that was a much larger amount. So I wasn't aware of, the breakout for it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And with that, we are going to adjourn this meeting. I'm told there's a separate link, that the meetings were 2 separate notices, and there's 2 separate links for the working session. So we're going to adjourn this meeting at this time, and then let everybody switch links, and then we'll re-adjourn for the working session in 3 minutes.
Thank you.